Hello, welcome back to the Masonic Roundtable, a weekly program where Masons from around the world get together to talk about Masonic news and opinions in a friendly and social manner. The standard disclaimer applies. The thoughts and opinions expressed here are solely the opinions of the participants and do not represent any Grand Lodge statements or positions. Make sure you keep your conversations open for the public and on the level. To interact with us, send questions and comments to our Twitter page at Mason Roundtable or on the Facebook event page for episode 180, The Junior Warden. You know me, John Ruark, past master of the Patriot Lodge number 1957 in Fairfax, Virginia. Who else do we have tonight? We have Robert Johnson. Go ahead.
Hello, Robert Johnson here from Waukegan Lodge number 78 in Waukegan, Illinois, where I'm a past master, current sitting secretary, and a DDGM for the 1st Northeastern District, state of Illinois.
Thank you, Right Worshipful. Let's see, Mike the intern.
Hey, Mike Ambrick here from Village Lodge number 274 in Burton, Ohio. Junior steward and current lodge education officer.
Funny, you don't look like a Leo. Jason Richards.
Hey everybody, Jason Richards, Worshipful Master of Acacia Lodge number 16 in Clifton, Virginia, and member of the Colonial Lodge number 1821 in the District of Columbia.
And that's a fine hat you're wearing.
I know. It's almost like we coordinated.
Here I am without my glasses.
Yeah.
We could have blended in. Can you tell us the difference?
Bring your eclipse glasses out.
You'd all look much better with them on. Into this week's news, Masonic news, we have our first article from, of course, Chris Hodap's blog talking about the Masonic Services Association has issued a Hurricane Harvey disaster appeal for Texas. So if you've been living under a rock, you know that the state of Texas and a couple of the neighboring states have been hit by Hurricane Harvey the past 2 weeks. And finally, we've been waiting on bated breath to see if there's a way that we can charitably give back to our brothers who may be in need. And so sponsored by the Grand Lodge of Masons in Texas, as well as the most worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of Masons in Texas. There is now an official place that you can go. You can go to msana.com and find out how to donate to their appeal for disaster relief. And it's a brotherly thing to do. You guys have anything else you want to add to this? In related news, you're going to find out that Juan is not with us tonight because I'm picturing him right now, hammering with got like nails in his teeth and just like hammering wooden things around his windows, and he's preparing for Hurricane Irma.
You guys don't even know, like Juan, you guys just think, he's this artist, he's, this cool guy, neat Mason. No, dude is a prepper. I'm just kidding. But he is a prepared individual. That is for sure. Yep, so hoping him much safety this evening.
Yeah, so that Hurricane Irma should be making its way to Florida in probably within the next week. So by the time our next podcast rolls around, we'll hear how hard if Hurricane Irma hits in the Florida area, and we'll see if something similar is done. I mean, it's a Cat 5 hurricane already. I think the entire state of Florida is already under a, what do they call it? State of emergency. Yeah. So it looks like it's going to happen. So stay tuned.
Hey, I told him to pack up the family and come on up here. I got plenty of room for him.
I have to share the space with the dogs, though.
Deal breaker.
The dogs and the cats.
Oh, that's right.
All right. And also mentioned previously, this weekend is the annual Masonic Society Conference in Lexington, Kentucky.
It's going to suck.
It's going to be awesome.
Because of John Ruark.
Because of John Ruark. Actually, I was just looking at some of the speakers beforehand, and there's quite a few guys that I've sat in lodge with and respect for all the contributions they've done for Masonry, including this guy. So you should definitely check it out if you're within driving distance. It's never too late to register. You can go to 2017 Masonic Society Conference, long URL.com, and go ahead and register for that. It's a whole weekend full of activities, and I will be speaking Saturday afternoon, right after lunch. I didn't pick this time slot. So what are we going to do with a guy with lots of charts and graphs? We're going to stick him right after a full meal.
Put everybody to sleep. It'll be great.
Yeah, so I got
That's how they're going to even it out. Everybody else is going to be like, so you're so amazing, but they got to put you after lunch to knock you down.
slow down there, sailor.
True story.
I hope that's true.
Meanwhile, Andrew Hammer's going to heckle you from the back, going, "Masonry doesn't belong on the internet."
Tell him his accent's fake.
Your pie charts are incorrect. Oh goodness. I'm really looking forward to it. I've been pulling all that data we've been talking about for the past year or so. Got some really good causal effects to the fraternity that hopefully we can address and fix. So stay tuned. I promise these guys I'd give the data first, but of course you're going to hear about it in a future TMR episode. All right, let's move into
The last piece of Masonic news.
You sneak these things right in. Go ahead, Jason. Take it away.
So some interesting news that came up over the weekend. Most Worshipful Roman Volsky, who is the Grand Master of the Grand Lodge of the District of Columbia, made an announcement about a historic enterprise that the Grand Lodge of DC and the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of DC are undertaking together, and the organizations are actually coming together under the moniker just of DC Masons to fund a scholarship program through the University of DC. And this is the first time specifically in the District of Columbia, but really I think one of the first times anywhere where you've seen a Prince Hall Grand Lodge and a mainstream Grand Lodge get together and consolidate plans for a big charitable giving program. And so this is really cool. It's one of the things that I absolutely adore about DC Masonry is its great relationship, or the great relationship that Grand Lodge of DC has with the Most Worshipful Prince Hall Grand Lodge of DC. So it's really cool to see them actively working together to give scholarships to those in the district who deserve it.
Okay. Thank you for that. Okay. Let's get into this week's topic, which is the Junior Warden. Some of the guys talked about this in preparation for this week's show and said, hey, why don't we do a 3-part series, since they tend to be so popular, on the officers of the lodge, specifically the Junior Warden, Senior Warden, and Worshipful Master. And this would be one way to help prepare. We've done a couple, how to prepare for your year in the East and that kind of thing episodes, but never really specifically addressed how each of our jurisdictions handles the duties and roles and responsibilities of those officers. So we'll take some time on each officer and address some of the jurisdictional differences and what do we expect for those who are on their way to those seats. Tonight we will cover again the specific duties that are outlined in maybe our Grand Lodge materials. What do they do? What are the roles and responsibilities they have? Some of the mandatory events that they are expected to go to, and then some of these highly suggested but not required other types of activities. Because I learned that very early on that you don't have to go to it, but you have to go to it. So we're going to start with Robert Johnson tonight, and we're going to talk about the duties of the Junior Warden. What is he supposed to do to fill his position in the state of Illinois?
So I should probably say that it's the most hated position in the lodge. Just kidding. I say that jokingly because primarily the rule for the Junior Warden, at least in Illinois and several other jurisdictions that I'm aware of, it is the chair of the guy who does the cooking. You are supposed to have stewards to help you out with that.
I was gonna say,
However,
we have stewards for that.
yeah, we don't have, like, I don't even have installed stewards in my lodge. So uh, basically, the junior warden is the lion's share of all of that work. When I was the junior in my year as junior warden, I didn't work on Mondays, so it was no big deal for me to go ahead and cook all day. But generally, the Illinois Lodge, the Illinois Handbook for Officer Advancement has 7 rules and 1 short paragraph, which is: the junior warden is primarily a liaison officer or coordinator of activities for particular attention to providing refreshment. This does not mean that he takes the spotlight, but is a vital member of the team. Usually, the master and the senior wardens have more work to accomplish than time permits, and the junior warden is the one looked upon for assistance. The obligations of the junior warden are 7, to comply with all elements of the charge given when installed, to know the operating or the opening, closing, and conferring degrees, promptness and regular attendance at all lodge meetings and special social functions, assisting the senior warden in special functions, carrying out any duties assigned by the worshipful master, such as supervision when the lodge is at refreshment, serving on committees for purchase of lodge equipment, being part of the lodge greeting committee, serving on ritual committee. Number 6, continued study of the lodge, Grand Lodge bylaws, and supervision of arrangements for visitations to other lodges and return visitations. So that's kind of the junior warden's deal. I can tell you, as a district deputy, also we require those senior executive officers to include the junior warden to attend the workshop every year at Grand Lodge sessions, as well as the warden's workshop that happens every year, also sponsored by the Grand Lodge, and it's designed to get them ready for that executive role. It's not mandatory, but I can tell you that if guys don't show up, the area grandmaster shows up and gives them a hard time at lodge. So basically, they push the idea that those 3 executive officers do have a very, I would say, strict policy to attend all of those events. As a DDGM, we have schools of instruction, and those usually start at 7 o'clock. Dinner starts at 6, and at 6:30, I request a mandatory meeting for the first 7 months of the Masonic year to have these meetings, and I require the executive officers to come to those, even just for those 15 minutes. And if they can't be at those meetings, I expect them to call in, like on a conference call. So those are just kind of some things that we do cover. That's it.
Great. Thank you, Robert. Mike, how about in Ohio?
In Ohio, our officer's manual has it very limited. Duties and responsibilities, it's just ritualistic duties. The junior warden is the primary liaison officer and should be a member ex officio of ritualistic committee, though not its chairman. He is to supervise and organize fellow craft team and direct its activities, working closely with the fellow craft captain to ensure that the team is drilled proficiently. And then his social duties are to assist the senior warden in special functions. And that is all that is listed in our officer's manual. I do know that there are several wardens meetings throughout the year that they are expected to attend. There is the one at the what they call the past masters convocation that senior wardens, junior wardens, the whole thing have to show up at. So, but I know the other ones are more voluntary. Well, not strictly, but you can come or not. but not is not accepted.
Right. So that was very concise for what was offered by your Grand Lodge.
Yeah.
I was putzing around on the Grand Lodge of Virginia webpage and found multiple documents that go into what the duties and responsibilities are of the officers. And with, like all good papers done by committee, they actually contradict themselves or don't include things in all parts. So I'll try to synthesize all this together. But
To be honest, the junior warden's pretty easy.
It is actually. I did notice that when I was junior warden, is that there's really not a whole lot to do other than prepare for the East. That's at the surface, right? There's a lot behind.
Unless you become the subject, or your lodge becomes the subject of one or more Masonic trials.
Bingo. So what I like is that they did summarize in a warden's primer on the Grand Lodge of Virginia website. It's kind of neat. They said basically think about what the ritual says the duties of the junior warden are, and really it's to ensure the rectitude of conduct of the brethren and to supervise the craft at refreshment. And so that's what they are charged to do in their public installations. And if you want to hear that text, you can go back and watch Jason's installation ceremony. But if you break that down, I mean, those are the two primary duties that are written into our Grand Lodge laws. We call it the Methodical Digest. So rectitude of conduct does mean that the junior warden is solely responsible for conducting Masonic trials and pulling all the data together. What's often seen is that duty can be delegated, right? That you can have in one or more brothers to, assemble the Masonic trial. Usually the marshal is also involved, but the accountable person at that point in Virginia is the junior warden. And then also supervise the craft at refreshment. Here in Virginia, we usually push that duty down to the stewards, right? Though I have seen it in other jurisdictions traveling, which is why you should travel, that the junior warden is responsible for making sure that all the food is ready and everything after lodge. So if you have good stewards, it's not much to worry about. But if you don't, then you too are on the hook. So that's really what the duties as identified by the Grand Lodge of Virginia are for the kind of the minimum basic things you have to do for to be a junior warden. Jason, what do you expect? Any additional duties for your junior warden, since you are a sitting worshipful minister?
So a lot of the main thing that our junior wardens do at Acacia, and this is just the way we've broken it out over the past couple of years, is the junior warden is responsible for putting the cast together for all of the fellowcraft degrees for that year. So we have the senior deacon who's responsible for the EA cast, the junior warden for the fellowcraft, and then the senior warden does the master masons casts. So Bobby, who is past master of our lodge and also our sitting junior warden, he puts together all the casts for the fellowcrafts degree. And other than that, he's essentially my other assistant outside of the senior warden. So it's kind of a triumvirate ruling cabal, as it were. And I really run just about everything I do, or everything that comes into my hands as master. I run that by both Bobby and Joe, just because the three of us have a really good relationship together, and it helps me to get both of their perspectives on a lot of the things in the lodge. There's not hardly a lick of anything he has to do in ritual, because the junior warden doesn't really have hardly anything to do as far as Virginia ritual is concerned. And we don't have great glorious festive boards with lots of free-flowing alcohol, so he doesn't need to guard the brethren against intemperance or excess at festive boards and things of that nature.
That's his job. Let the guy do his job.
But Virginia doesn't let us have booze.
Hashtag dry state.
Yep. Hashtag prohibition lives.
Let me just tell you something. In Illinois, that's code 485. And it used to be pretty strict. And I looked at it recently, and it's been rewritten since the really strict time to open it up, and there's some real wiggle room there. I think you ought to look at your code, man. Maybe you
Dude,
might find something.
I have looked at our code. We may have mentioned it in the alcohol and Freemasonry episode, but it still bothers me to this day that in our methodical digest, basically the enforcement of alcohol, the prohibition of alcohol in lodges really came down to, in 1983, some Grand Master was looking through and said, you know what? There's a lot of guys complaining about alcohol in lodge, but we can't find any rules against it. So I'm just going to make an edict that's going to ban alcohol in lodge.
And nobody's...
And then it just stuck after that. It passed as a resolution, and no one's questioned it since.
People are too lazy to change the code.
Ours basically says there'll be no alcohol in the lodge building. I'm sorry, at an official lodge function while such function is in session. So there's like after.
Oh, ours goes into can't be on the premises, which includes the parking lot and all this other stuff. So
it sounds like they really took care of it for you.
Yeah. Yay. So let's get into now the roles and responsibilities. We talked about the duties, but specifically what when the junior warden's in the lodge, what is he kind of expected to do? And so I'm thinking of things of ritual progression, backfilling other members of the lodge, and any other additional duties that aren't explicitly called out in your Grand Lodge. So I'll kind of kick things off just to kind of spark where I'm going with this. In Virginia, when you're junior warden, you are expected to kind of know your ritual, right? Because you're getting ready to go to the east. So if you haven't learned the ritual of how to open and close all the lodges, do that ASAP. And, as always, know all the ritual for the chair in front of you, the senior warden. So that way you can backfill. When we backfill members, it's usually moving up a chair. So if the worshipful master were unable to fulfill his duties for that night, the senior warden would move up, and therefore the junior warden would move to senior warden. But if worshipful master and senior warden are out, congratulations, you now got the hot seat. So be prepared to open and close the lodge and run it with an iron fist. Also, another thing that has been added on in at least the Northern Virginia area is the junior warden has been often tasked to assemble the cast in upcoming degrees. So it's just kind of, hey, we've balloted on so and so
craft degree,
right? And so now we need to put together all the craft together to perform this degree. So congratulations, junior warden, you're in charge of getting all the guys together. So that's I don't know if that's the same in Acacia, Jason.
I just talked about this. A junior warden puts together the cast for the fellowcraft degree.
Ah, see, it's all degrees in Herndon.
The senior deacon puts together the cast for the EA. The senior warden puts the cast together for the master mason.
See,
you weren't paying attention one bit. Like 10 minutes ago, we talked about this.
Ignored everything you said. How about Illinois, Robert?
So in Illinois, our senior warden handles all the slates. But going to the junior warden, really, there are other things that they need to do. Is they have to. The suggested plan for learning is that the junior warden know to obligate on the second and third degree, and all of the ritual for the senior and the master. So, as a junior warden, again, in the absence of the master and the senior warden, it's your lodge kind of thing. It falls just like that. And I'm trying to think of other duties that they really do. Of course, they do have to serve as the chairman on the refreshments committee. Of course, they are charged to do what we talked about earlier and make sure nobody drinks too much. There's not a whole lot of events that they're in charge of. It does vary by lodge here. So certain lodges will state in their bylaws that certain charitable events that are staples of the lodge or certain committees that are always in place. They may be on those committees. My own lodge does not have something like that for the senior warden. The senior warden is pretty much, hey, dinner is yours every single week for the year, and you do that, and you open and you obligate and you do these things, and that's it. So it's pretty relaxed. We have some other duties that are pretty difficult leading up to junior warden, that can be stressful. Like you get installed in October for my lodge, and the senior deacon immediately has to plan a Christmas party for the lodge. So that's pretty stressful. The junior warden doesn't have to do that. He might have to handle food or whatever. So it's pretty lax.
Good. All right, Mike, I know you've not yet been an officer in a lodge.
Nope.
So what have you observed that in the lodges you've attended that the junior warden does in addition to what we've previously talked about?
Yeah. A lot of times the junior warden at my lodge anyway has been there to instruct the senior and junior stewards in some of their duties. But when it really, like when we talk about the refreshment one, actually the Grand Lodge has that handed off as being the responsibility of the senior steward. He's, he has his own fund and all that for all of that. And honestly, the junior warden, his responsibilities are to assemble the fellowcraft team. And he's supposed to be on the ritualistic committee. I know that, to my knowledge, we don't have a ritualistic committee at my lodge. And I do know that one of our past masters usually is the one who assembles our fellowcraft team for the Master Mason degree. Beyond that, there's not much else I've been able to observe as, for what our junior warden does.
Wow. I'm jealous. Easy peasy.
Yeah.
Jason, anything you want to add before we switch over to the expected attended events and the like?
No, just that I kind of got the junior warden spot because I was too incompetent to keep playing with fire as senior deacon.
Hashtag almost burned down the lodge.
Yeah, nothing actually caught on fire, but I did get some good airtime from the lodge candles.
Nice. All right, so I'm going to quiz you then, Jason.
All right.
Say, according to the Grand Lodge of Virginia, what are some of the suggested events that a junior warden should be attending?
Subordinate lodge officer training.
Ding, ding, ding.
Slut.
Yes, that is one of them. What else do you think that they should be attending?
District ritual classes.
2 for 2. We've got a list of probably about, 10.
Yeah, area ritual schools, the official visit of the Grand Master, the official visit of the District Deputy Grand Master.
You're doing great. In addition, we have the Grand Annual Communication.
Oh, yeah, that's right. Grand Lodge.
Even though you can't vote, we want you there.
Yes.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that too. I thought that's just like a given. Sorry.
Right.
Yeah, our 3 principal officers have to go, and they are the voting members. So my junior warden, senior warden, headmaster all vote.
Yep. 1 master, 1 vote. That's all we got.
I am the voting member for my lodge.
Don't screw it up.
Wow. So can I ask this? I don't want to get too tangential here, but I've heard you guys reference in the past, because we were talking about voting, that members who aren't the constituency can vote in your jurisdiction, like past grands or something.
I think, doesn't each past Grand Master get 1 vote?
I'm going to look that up while we go through this episode. I want to say that,
Or they might collectively get 1 vote.
I want to say all past masters collectively get one vote in the case of like tie breaking and that kind of thing. I will get the official answer from our Methodical Digest here by the end of the show. So,
Okay, sorry.
really good question, because I should know that, and I think it's really interesting how different grand sessions allow voting different ways, because that could completely change the effect and outcome of resolutions. Hashtag Masonic gerrymandering. In addition to what we've previously said, let's see, district schools, you just got that. We have a division leadership conference, considered a regional
That's right.
thing, where you're expected to kind of meet with your Grand Lodge counterpart, so the Grand Junior Warden in that case, and see what they have coming up and planned for the next 2 or 3 years, and how you will be hopefully moving up with them. Hashtag no progressive lines. And learn what's coming that way, ask any questions, and see if there's anything that they can do to help you out. And just be a good representative ambassador for your lodge. So attend lodges within your district, attending lodges outside of your district, those kind of things that they kind of expect you to do. Oh, a big one that they kind of expect you to do is earn your warden certificate in the Grand Lodge of Virginia.
Man.
Yeah, it's optional. Not really, because you cannot move to the east as worshipful master without a piece of paper that's signed off by Grand Lodge Committee on Work member who says that your ritual good enough to sit in the east.
But in Virginia, the senior wardens are mostly the ones who get their warden certificates. Except for yours truly, who actually did it during his junior warden year.
Good for you. So they're good for like 2 or 3 years.
3.
Wow.
So that's why they try to encourage it. Start now, so it'll be all done, and you won't have to worry about ritual during your senior warden year. You'll just be worried about planning your year in the east.
That's incredible. We don't have anything like that here.
They can just pick one brand new Master Mason, and that's it. Stick them in.
As long as you have been a warden,
okay,
you can be master.
Yep.
Yeah, same here as far as I know. I haven't heard of anything.
There's no warden certificate. I mean, we do have the proficiency where, so if you want a certificate of proficiency, you will have returned your 3rd degree proficiency in Open Lodge. If you don't care about your proficiency certificate, then you have a multitude of other options, but that's the only kind of thing we've got, other than becoming a certified lodge instructor or a grand lecturer. Those are the only 2 other programs, but those, I mean, we had 2 guys that tested in our whole district out of 1,052 Masons who did not get it. So anybody can assume the East, provided you've served as a warden.
Mm-hmm. The last final requirement in order to be junior warden prior to election, the nominee for junior warden must have completed the past master's degree in either a Royal Arch chapter or in a provisional lodge of past
masters.
What?
Yep. You have to take a York Rite degree in order to get installed as a Blue Lodge officer.
York Rite degree, which, by the way, has like nothing to do with any York Rite concepts.
No, it doesn't, but it's still interesting. I mean, I think that what's called the virtual PM or past master degree here in Illinois, you have to take that before you're assumed a warden?
Mandatory. You cannot be elected and installed as a junior warden without that.
Well, I
That's
know a
weird.
couple who have been elected and installed without
What?
it, but yeah, it's mandatory.
So do you have to join a Royal Arch chapter then?
No.
They can, usually what they'll do is they'll have some guys do the degree right around November, right before the elections. So anyone who hasn't joined chapter yet, come on over.
Completely clandy. Like they just
Dude,
stick you in the lodge. Like, we're going to give you one of the Royal Arch degrees. Have fun.
Well, yeah, so we're allowed to kind of do that too, but I mean, it's not a mandatory thing, and that sounds like something that was put in action to save the York Rite, which they probably got rid of the requirement or something.
Longer conversation. In Virginia, we consider the Royal Arch part of the culmination of the Master Mason's degree, and so that is written into the charter of the Grand Lodge of Virginia. So
We're York-Rite Masons.
we blend it together. Obviously, it's two separate bodies, but that is a leftover, carryover from way back long ago. That's all.
Blend a lot of things together. Chapter and council.
That's kind of cool.
York-Rite
I like
Blue
that.
Lodge.
Interesting. Wow, had no idea. All this time I've been talking to you guys, and you guys are like clandestine.
Yeah, just about.
Come on over, get all the degrees. We got
What the
99
hell?
of them. It's
We're
all
irregular, not clandestine.
irregular.
All right, I'll give you
Need
that.
more fiber.
All right, you're irregular. PA is clandestine.
Okay,
Yeah, that's likely.
good with that.
Okay, there we go. And we just lost all of our PA listeners just now.
Oh, too bad. After Lodge will go away then.
Wah, wah.
Okay, Robert, what is unique to some of the other things that are expected of the Junior Warden in Illinois? Events and the like?
You know, we're so plain Jane. I don't know that we have anything that's really that unique. We have a warden's it's a warden's workshop that's unique to the northeastern area, that's sponsored, that's put on by the Grand Lodge and sponsored by the Shriners. That's kind of unique.
Us including York-Rite is a weird thing.
Yeah. You know, really, there's not a whole lot. In our particular lodge, another tradition that we do have is that our junior wardens serve as the chair of the education committee. So he is the LEO. But I guess that's it. I wish I had more. I wish it was more exciting. You guys have it. I mean, that is just bizarre and cool.
Yeah, I mean, we got whole checklists and everything too. This is
Very unique.
okay, Mike. Anything you want to add?
Yeah, see, I don't see anything different. We have, like I mentioned, the past masters convocation, which they have to go to. Which at that, that's when the current the worshipful master who's just been elected is given his past masters, but they're there for. There's a junior wardens conference. There's a senior wardens conference. I also had to go this last year because there was the Leo conference for the district, but it's all, that's the only one I'm aware of that's mandatory. And I know throughout the year they have, I think quarterly, they have some wardens meetings, but I really haven't, since I haven't been in the chair, I don't really know. And there's nothing in our, in the manuals that I found that said, yes, these are the things you have to do throughout the year. So
I think that's interesting though, because I've been told several times actually that a lot, like a good amount of our material as Grand Lodge Illinois has really just been rewritten Grand Lodge Ohio stuff. And I don't mean that as a knock to Illinois in any means, but like I believe our Intender program, our Officer's Guide of Advancement, we might call it something different, but I think a lot of it was kind of picked right out of the Ohio garden,
And and that's very possible. I may also be missing some of the stuff, that I haven't seen, because the officers' manuals that I used were the ones that were available for when I took the certification earlier this year. For the officers' manual, the code, and so forth. So, yeah.
Okay, Jason, I'll give you the opportunity to chime in with any last requirements or any fun facts about the Junior Warden before we go to social media.
Well, Junior Warden is represented by the Pillar of Beauty. Not to, let my current Junior Warden's head get too big on that one. I had started an article back when I was Junior Warden about just the beauty of the Junior Warden station and all the symbolism that goes along with it. Talking about how the sun at meridian is in the south, where the Junior Warden has his station, and of course the sun at its highest point is emblematical of the plum, which is his jewel, and further emblematical of the rectitude of life and his duties to guard the craft against intemperance and excess. And when you get down to it, our ritual is just so well crafted and just so neat in the symbolism and the layers upon layers upon layers of symbolism that it just packs into the ritual that we have. That's basically all I've got to say on that one.
Cool. Thanks. So what have we got on social media tonight?
Starting with brother Andre Beardless Belliveau. Says, at my lodge, the Junior Warden is responsible for coordinating the food and drink for the festive boards that occur after the meetings, as well as assisting the secretary in securing the RSVP list. Additionally, the Junior Warden is the official liaison to our district. The Junior Warden's other responsibilities are pretty standard. While not a requirement, the Junior Warden is expected to have an English accent, but that's only if his name is Colin. Of note, Andre's lodge does not have a progressive line. The only progression is from Senior Warden to Worshipful Master, and the Worshipful Master is preparing his successor to ascend to the Oriental chair. Dead air. Awesome. So let's go to some memes, shall we?
Yeah.
What?
A lot.
Starting with our favorite Masonic memes. Installed as Junior Warden and told represents beauty. Handed the camera for all group pictures. Womp, womp, womp.
Bad luck, Brian.
Yeah. And then, who seconds the motion that the Junior Warden needs to do better than cold elk and raw fungus for the feast for the next meeting? Archaeologists find the minutes for the first Freemasons meeting ever.
I love that one.
Nice.
And that's about it as far as social media is concerned.
I do have one addition
Okay.
from Richard Ingham up in Pennsylvania. He says that in Pennsylvania, the Junior Warden is in charge of the lodge when called off from labor during the election of officers.
Interesting.
So yes, so you have temporary power to rule with an iron fist until the officers get elected and installed.
Yeah,
That's
5 minutes later.
Yeah, that's an interesting ceremony. I'd like to see that, to see how that's handled, performed, and how you prevent someone from going off the wall. That's the first thing I would do as an evil Junior Warden. That's it. We're raising dues.
The dues are too damn low.
Awesome.
We're going to be a TO lodge this year.
By active.
This year, so like you're gonna raise the dues to like $300, and when you open, you're gonna say be clothed, and then outside of that, it's still the same old fart jokes and everything else. Then,
Right.
okay, just checking.
Good stuff. Okay, let's go around the horn for shameless plugs and final thoughts. Starting with Mike the intern. What are your thoughts on the Junior Warden?
Well, actually, I'd be interested in being that job in a few dozen years yet. Give me some time to actually learn my parts. But you know what? It's when you watch it in lodge, it's actually a nice seat to be. One of those seats that I'd actually love to just do for the degree work too. So. Yeah, and in Ohio, I know I can ask to actually do that during a degree and possibly do it. So, yeah. So anyway, if you're interested in what podcasts are available out there, you should check on Mike the Intern's Facebook page, and I've got a nice list out there. Plus, I keep posting up the ones for everyone else, including us, when they become available. Talk to you later.
Awesome. Thank you, Mike. Robert Johnson, what say you?
What say I? Speaking from experience as a junior warden, I really liked the seat. I found it to be not too stressful. Again, I was off on Mondays when I was junior warden, and Mondays was my lodge day. So I would cook during the day at home, and I would bring that meal into lodge. And I had a lot of fun cooking for the guys. Specifically, I had a lot of fun cooking for candidates when they were having their degree. I'd asked them what they wanted. Nothing was too ridiculous. I think the oddest combo I made was mac and cheese and biscuits and gravy. That's what the guy wanted. That's what he got. So that was my duty. It was a pleasure to do that and serve the lodge that way. In addition to that, I had a lot of fun. I was the representative. That's another thing I guess we do is that we're the representative. The senior and junior are the representative to the district deputy grand master for introductions and for the grand master of the states. So on occasion, I got to do that, which was cool. And as far as like regular old lodge meetings, it was kind of cool, right? Because we're the people in my lodge anyway in Illinois. You're the junior warden is the person who gabbles everybody up to basically assume the degree that you're going to be on. But other than that, it was a really relaxed chair. Like there's like nothing to do. So you could sit back and relax and almost take in the craft for what it is. So it was a good time. Really enjoyed that time. And in fact, if you're ever in a lodge in Illinois and somebody says, "Hey, we need you to sit a chair. What can you sit?" and the junior warden's empty, just take it because you don't have to do anything. It's kind of like the marshal. But that's it. So if you like Masonic podcasts, please check out Whence Came You, Sunday nights, 9:30. We're keeping WCY going indefinitely. We replaced our machine, and so everything's good to go. And I should mention, Mike said that he's got this list of all these podcasts, and I'm turning over. I have a page that I used to do is the Masonic Podcast Network, and it was like a listing of all the podcasts. So I'm going to turn that over to Mike and see what he wants to do with it because he's kind of a web genius too. So I'm sure he's going to do something crazy with that maybe. But that's Mike. He's awesome. So that's all I got.
Very cool. Jason.
All right. Junior Warden. Had a great year as Junior Warden a couple of years ago. It was a lot of fun. I spent most of my time actually in the East for degrees because I was getting my warden certificate. But it's a great way to dip your toes into lodge leadership. Specifically just because, it's your first year as a stationed officer, but at the same time, there's not a whole lot of stuff you have to do, especially when it comes to the ritual. So you can really spend that year preparing for the next 2 years. And that's what I did when I was junior warden. I'd recommend anyone who's going to be going in as junior warden next year to really, instead of focusing solely on your duties as junior warden, which frankly shouldn't be terribly onerous, using that spare time to start planning ahead for your senior warden and ultimately your master's year, because that forward planning and that forward leaning will pay dividends throughout your year. And thanks for watching.
Coolio.
Yep.
Yeah, I too had a really good junior year. If it wasn't for the fact that I had to skip over the senior warden seat and go, no, I got that wrong. Went from senior deacon to senior warden. So actually, for one of my lodges, didn't get to go to the junior warden seat at all. Thought I had more time to prepare, and because I didn't get to coast and soak it all in, I was kind of scrambling my senior warden year. So don't do that if you can help it. While advancing sounds fun at first, it's a lot of work. But listening to this discussion tonight, I really find it interesting that all of these requirements we put on to become a warden specifically the junior warden as the first level into the officers line in the Grand Lodge of Virginia. I'm wondering if we're even setting the bar too high. I know standards are one thing, but standards for the sake of, what, I'm not sure, right? That there's obviously things you want people to be good at, but to set this bar so high, I'm wondering, man, again, the data would be awesome to see for those who, what's the behavioral incentive to try to meet all the criteria to become an officer, where it might be easier in other states or other jurisdictions. So food for thought. Do you think the bar is too high in Virginia? Go hop on our Facebook page or go hit us up on Twitter and share your thoughts and comments on that. It's been a blast. And for those in Kentucky, I hope to see you in Lexington this weekend. As for that, thanks very much for watching, and keep searching for more light. Have a good night.